Is it going to be Edge versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania instead of Edge versus Roman Reigns? Probably not, but maybe it might be. Let's discuss on this episode of the WrestleTalk podcast. Welcome to that episode. I am Corporate Chopper. I'm joined by Andy Datson. First thing we're going to be talking about today is this whole angle that's brewing between Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns, which started off with the opening segment on this show, which started off with, of course, it's SmackDown, so Reigns has to come out. That's just how it goes now.
Yes.
There was a very long recap. It was like a 5-minute video package of what happened at Elimination Chamber, and then after the match with Edge coming out and spearing Reigns and pointing at the WrestleMania sign and fireworks going off. But that doesn't mean he chose him necessarily. Isn't that right, Louis Dangle?
I would put good money
on
the fact that next week's SmackDown will be opened by Roman Reigns cutting a promo.
You might be right with that. Who can possibly say? But yes, Roman got lots of pyro. He got one on the ramp of him holding up the title, and then they showed the recap video, and then he was in the ring and he held up his title, and then there was more pyro again. I was like, hell yeah, spending that pyro budget well. He got a decent promo, him just saying like, look, SmackDown needs me. I'm the greatest. Elimination Chamber needed me, and that's why I defended my title. I'm the best. But other people will come out here and do some sort of celebration ceremony and rub it in their face. But not me. I'm above that. Because if it's not perfect, it's not me. And Elimination Chamber wasn't perfect thanks to Edge. I was like, okay, that's a pretty decent segue of him being like, I'm amazing, to also I hate Edge.
Yeah.
I thought it worked pretty well. Weirdly, though, Roman started saying like, hey, Edge, there's still time to like not challenge me if you want to. You know, you can still back out of it and just go home and no one would judge you. It's fine. Yeah. Which I thought was really strange because for me, like the last few weeks of promos has been Roman saying, Edge, you have to challenge me. Like if you want a main event WrestleMania, there's only one person you can pick. Please pick me the whole time. But now that Edge has actually picked him, he's like, actually, maybe don't pick me, which I thought was weird. And it didn't play off to me as like, oh God, he's actually picked me and now I regret my decisions. That's not how it seemed to me. It felt more him just going against what he said before. It didn't seem like a change of heart.
Yeah, this didn't make any sense. Now, first of all, I like Roman a lot and I really like the character he's playing. But I would also like a different start to SmackDown at some point, because it's got to the point where SmackDown starts to go, oh, am I watching last week's show? Oh no, it is this week's show. Okay, cool. A couple of the website writers, Nate and Tempest, was saying like, look, he's a great character, but the formula for SmackDown now, and it's getting a bit tedious. And I can see that. Yeah, but the promo started well, and then it did get into kind of, wait, what? You've been spending a long time going, Edge, there is only one man who you're facing. There's only one person who is going to main event WrestleMania, and that's me. So you should pick me. Now, the only way that they can kind of get around this to make sense, I guess, is Roman saying, hey, mate, you attacked me last week. Or, well, you attacked me at the Elimination Chamber. I'm now giving you the opportunity to basically escape my wrath.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't say that.
No.
So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I think this was a real weird one. I don't know quite how this got signed off on. And I don't know why Roman would. Maybe Roman said the wrong thing. I don't know. But in a nutshell, that sort of mini Roman promo nutshell, it didn't make any sense at all for him to suddenly go, you can back out now, because why would he? Especially after Louis Dangle put good money on that match not happening.
Exactly. Yeah. Crazy. I mean, maybe he's right. Maybe this is the out for Edge and it won't happen. You know, it won't be Reigns versus Edge, and Louis Dangle's good money will actually, maybe it will come through. But yeah, for me, this felt a bit weird. But instead of Edge coming out, it was Daniel Bryan, who, of course, Reigns beat at Elimination Chamber after Bryan won the Chamber match itself. I thought this was a great little line from Bryan saying that, hey, look, I was in your very first match in WWE. And I was like, oh, yeah, he was. Huh. that's cool.
Yeah.
And he was saying, look, I know how special you are. And I don't want people to think you're some kind of fake champion. Like, I know you're great. I don't want people to think that, you're not a fighting champion or there's some sort of blemish on your record or whatever. I want you to defend that title one-on-one with me at Fastlane. If you beat me, then you can truly call yourself a champion going into WrestleMania. Because right now, he's taken coward's ways out and, his record's been completely kind of blemished and things like that. But yeah, I thought this was a great little promo. And then Jey Uso comes in and says, nah, which I love Jey Uso's character that he's got alongside Reigns. Reigns, the very kind of cool, calm, collected guy. He's very intimidating and threatening. And, he does kind of like the simmering, like, he's got like anger bubbling away underneath. Jay's very just open with his anger and just shouts at stuff, which I think just works so well in contrast with Roman. He just grabs the mic off Bryan and he's like, you just got to stop talking. Like, because you go and get got and stuff like that. And then just hands him the mic back. It's great.
Have you seen Futurama? Do you watch Futurama?
Bits of it.
Oh, because there's a Don bot in there, and then he's got a sidekick called Clamps, who just wants to clamp everything in his clamps. And I just feel like, so Roman's sort of the Don bot, like, sort of hang back, and then Jay's just like, ah!
Yeah.
No, I really like this promo from Bryan because it makes a lot of sense, which I know is, like, he's playing to what he know will provoke Roman, which is, man, you're a coward, but I'm giving you an opportunity to prove that you're not. And that's the sort of proving who he is a big part of this storyline for him. He's proving that he needs to prove that he's the tribal chief. And the suggestion to him that he's a coward is like a sort of blemish on his dynasty, on his role as leader of the tribe. So it was a really clever bit of sort of storytelling from that point of view. I mean, I imagine it's going to be Roman against Bryan at Fastlane, and then I guess that sort of brings us on to our point. Obviously, they had the match later.
Yeah. So Jey Uso then attacked Bryan. There's a nice little line from Reigns after Bryan gets the mic handed back to him. Reigns just goes, "After everything I did, you want me to hurt you again?" And I was like, I believe you. And then Jey Uso comes in and just super kicks Bryan and just beats him up a little bit. Sets up the main event match, which is Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. And if Bryan wins, then he gets gifted a Universal title shot at Fastlane. Interestingly, this next bit, I don't know how to feel about. Because Edge went backstage to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville and said, hey guys, we need to have a chat. So last I heard, it was going to be me and Daniel Bryan teaming up to take on Roman Reigns and Jey Uso at Fastlane. And I was like, okay, that's news to me. And then he was saying, so what's happening? Bryan's just saying now he's going to get a Universal title shot. Like, he competed in the Royal Rumble that I won, and yet he's getting a Universal title shot before me. How does that check out? What's the meaning behind this? And at first I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like, that really checks out. That's actually really good character continuity. I really like that. And then I thought about it more and I was like, yeah, does it though?
It was the second promo that didn't make any sense. Because, I mean, I know he was away for 8 or 9 years, so he may not have been watching the Fastlane very much. But yeah, there's always a different challenger at Fastlane and Elimination Chamber. That's how it works. They specifically say, if you win the Royal Rumble, you get a championship match at WrestleMania, not Fastlane or Elimination Chamber. This is just how it works, Edge. So yeah, there was some clumsy storytelling on this show as a whole. Yeah. There was some good bits of storytelling, but this was clumsy. It felt like they wrote it, went, yep, and didn't actually think about it at all. Yeah. It was like, oh, we need Edge to have a problem with this. Because it just makes Edge look a bit whiny, and we don't want Edge to look whiny. We want him to look like kind of CrossFit Edge, the sort of Logan Edge, as they call him. Yeah, didn't like this, I'm afraid.
It's a shame, because at first I was like, that's a cool character beat. I like that. And then I started thinking about it more, and I was like, actually, that doesn't make sense because, yeah, what do you expect them to just not have title shots at Elimination Chamber and Fastlane? Like,
I want one.
What it is? Yeah,
yeah,
which is a bit weird because the whole point of the Rumble is that you get to go to WrestleMania. You know, the big
you point at the sign,
point at the sign, etc. Yeah. Whereas Bryan is getting a shot at Fastlane, which doesn't count as much for some reason, even though he could still be the champion, which is what Edge wants. Anyway, let's not get into that. We then got the main event we got to later. There was also another backstage promo between Edge and Daniel Bryan, where kind of there were a little bit more tension and stuff, where Edge was saying, good job, Edge was saying that he... I'm getting very distracted because Andy fumbled a thing and now he's frozen completely. It's really distracting me. Edge was saying that he reckons that Daniel Bryan can beat Roman Reigns at Fastlane, and if he does, then it will become Edge versus Bryan at WrestleMania, which it might. So I thought this was quite curious. Hi, Andy. Welcome back. I thought this was quite curious with the Edge and Bryan promo. Do
you want to know what happened?
Sure, hit me with it.
I was unlocking my phone to look at my notes. I dropped my phone. The corner of my phone hit the airplane mode button, and it turned my laptop onto airplane mode.
Which turned your internet off.
That's amazing. Wow. That was so unlikely. Sorry, everyone. I'm back.
Have you considered writing your notes on your laptop?
No, but then I can't.
No, he's gone again.
I can't see you. I want to be able to see you.
You know what you can do? You can go between tabs. I know that's a function on internet browsers, is to go between two different tabs, which is what I do.
This is how I've always done it.
And I know you're going between different tabs because I can see the light changing on your face. So I know you're already doing it, Andy. Anyway,
I'm not doing it. I haven't changed a single tab. It might be my phone, the color of my phone changing.
Mental.
Anyway,
it was the Edge Daniel Bryan promo, I thought it was curious to try and again build a little bit more tension between Edge and Bryan. It was just ahead of the main event match. I don't think it's where we're going, especially based on the events of the main event. But I like the fact that they're making it seem like it's a possibility. In comparison to something like Bianca Belair challenging Asuka, which was never a possibility, this actually feels like it could be something. They're trying to build a potential seed of something happening, which led into the main event, Bryan versus Uso. Great match. Of course, it's a great match. It's Jey Uso versus Daniel Bryan. How would it not be? Jey working over Bryan's knee the whole time, which was great. And then an interesting finish, which was them spilling to the outside and Jey just continuing to beat up Bryan on the outside and like grabs his knee and shoves it into the steel steps so that Bryan can't get back in the ring, and it's a double count out. Now, normally I'd be really against double count outs because they're a bit boring, they're a bit of a cop out, and nothing really happens. But this one I think made sense because the entire point of this match was to stop Bryan from winning. It wasn't about Jey winning, it was about just making sure that Bryan doesn't win. And he achieved that. He doesn't care whether he wins or loses. He wants to hurt Bryan and make sure he doesn't win, which is what he did. And then afterwards, Roman came out. Bryan started to come back and put in the yes lock on Jey and stuff, but Roman came back, beat up Bryan for a little bit. Bryan then put in the yes lock on Roman, but then Jey hit a brutal looking super kick, which I loved. It was like the spot he does to the backs of people's knees when he just jumps and just stomps on the back of their knee. He did that, but on Bryan's face. It was great. I loved it. I went back and watched it again, and I was like, crikey, that was a stiff-looking super kick. I loved it. And then Roman hit a spear and a guillotine stand to win the show.
Yeah, like like I said, the promos earlier in the show took me out of it a bit, but then this happens, you're like, oh, no, this is going to be really cool because we are going to get Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. It is going to happen.
I'd put good money.
I would too.
Yeah.
And the idea of a Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan singles match is enough to keep me invested, to be honest. I like the fact that Bryan keeps getting that little suggestion that he could win, and then it gets quashed. So I think that match is going to be great. It's going to be full of really close calls. There's going to be a moment where you're like, Roman has to tap.
Yeah, Bryan's
Roman has to tap now, or
Yeah.
he hits like a two running knees, and you're like, that's it. And then it just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm really, really looking forward to that match. I just hope that Edge doesn't get involved, because that would really. I think it would really suck if he was just really bratty and like, well, I wanted to be in the match.
Well, I think that it could work if Edge is the one that equalizes Jey Uso. If Jey Uso starts getting involved, Edge comes out and just spears Jey and like, takes him out of the match, or like brawls with him to the back or something like that. And then Bryan has like another hope spot on top of that and gets in the yes lock on Reigns after that. And then you're like, oh God, Bryan's going to win. I think that could work, but it would have to be done carefully. And you'd have to make sure that Edge doesn't come off as just inserting himself where he doesn't belong properly. But we'll see when we get to it. But it gets to the actual title of the video. It's probably not going to be Edge versus Bryan at WrestleMania, but if Bryan manages to beat Reigns and we got Edge versus Bryan at WrestleMania, I don't know if I'd mind that. Because don't get me wrong, I love Reigns. I love Reigns' character. I love what he's been doing with the title. I don't mind if Bryan wins and we get versus Edge at Mania. I think that would still be really, really good. I think it would still tell a really good story.
It would be fantastic. I really doubt it's going to happen, just because you need Roman in the main event. And if you need Roman in the main event, you need him to be holding a title, really, because otherwise it's just Roman's in the main event without a title. I think...
But if it was to happen...
Yes. Roman versus Edge is such a WrestleMania main event that I just can't look past it. But if it were to happen another way, then like you said, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah. Even though I do want Reigns to hold on to the title, because I think his character is almost owed that, if that makes sense. Like his character works so much more with the title than without. I'd be totally okay with him holding on to it, of course, but if he loses it, I still think I'd be okay with it. What do you guys think about the possibility of Edge versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 37? Let us know in the comments. But before we get on to talking about the rest of the show, we've got a couple bits and pieces to get to. First things first, Mr. Datsun, you lost the last season of Wrestle League, which culminated at the Royal Rumble. And thank you to our lovely pledge hammers over on Patreon, patreon.com/WrestleTalk. They got to vote. We got some suggestions from our $25 and above backers. And then we had a poll that everyone got to vote on for. The poll results are in. And your music video punishment that you will be doing at some point, probably just before WrestleMania, is Fabulous by Carmella.
I am feeling pretty Fabulous.
You are. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be a hell of a time.
It is.
And if you've ever wondered what I look like in a leotard while moonwalking, you won't have to wonder for much longer.
Oof, I genuinely can't wait. Especially because Andy was the one who really pushed the fans to vote on Ass Man. So now, a little bit of retribution, I think, which is nice.
Retribution? Oh,
retribution on SmackDown.
They're going to hack the stream.
Yeah. I'm thoroughly excited for Fabulous. I think you're going to be fabulous.
I think so too. I know you want me to try and rap it properly in a proper rapper's voice.
Please do.
I don't have a proper rapper's voice.
That's the point.
I will try both ways and see which is worse, basically.
The rapper's voice will be worse, and please do it. It will make you so uncomfortable, just like I was uncomfortable doing Ass Man, and it will be great.
Yeah, I make all the fellas go burr or whatever it is in the song.
If you guys
Why do I always get songs about clubbing and men and stuff?
It's just you. That's who you are deep down inside.
Yeah, I love nightclubs.
If you guys haven't heard the Fabulous theme song in a while, because obviously Carmella's changed her theme song now and she was off TV for a while before that, go listen to it again, because there's a lot of rapping in it that I didn't realize. God, there's the whole Fabulous yes bit, but then there's also just like straight Iggy Azalea style rapping in it, which I just want Andy to do. I think it's going to be fantastic.
I've been called the Iggy Azalea of Southeast England a lot of times, so I imagine I'll be very accurate.
Yeah, of course. I'm so excited. So that'll be coming just before WrestleMania as well. And also, fun, exciting news, guys, for this very podcast. Fans of the SmackDown podcast, all three of you, it's going to be some exciting news because we've seen some people in the comments saying that SmackDown should go live like the Raw and AEW podcasts are. And as of next Saturday, we will be going live.
What?
At 3 p.m. UK time, at the same time that the Raw and AEW streams are on. Andy, you're the worst. We're going to be live streaming these on the WrestleTalk podcast channel as of next Saturday. So get excited for that. Come by. You see on this little banner, it's got a little donation link down there, WrestleTalk.com/support. That's for when we go live, which is next week. You guys can get in your hyper chats. We get to hear your feedback live on air and all that fun stuff. So yeah, exciting times, everybody. Tune in next week, 3 p.m. time, and we'll be live. Woohoo!
Woo!
You guys asked for it, so we're doing it.
Yeah, we are.
Right.
We listen to our fans. We are WWE.
Exactly, yeah. You guys are the authority. Let's talk about the rest of the show. Obviously, it opened with Reigns, as we've spoken about. After that, we got a tag team match of Chad Gable and Otis versus the Mysterios, a rematch from last week, which this time had a clean finish. So, last week, Otis seemingly just turned heel, right? And was just acting like a heel. They got DQ'd because Gable wouldn't leave the ring. Otis just continually was splashing Rey Mysterio after the bell and hit a big top rope one after the match was finished and everything. I said, there is no story here. It's really dumb. Otis is just a heel for no reason. It's not some sort of manipulation on Gable's part. He knew what he was doing. It was Gable that said it, but Otis was the one that knew what he was doing and did it. And this week I feel incredibly vindicated because he was a heel in this match. He was angry. He wasn't doing any of his oh yeah stuff. He didn't do a caterpillar. He's just a heel now. That's what he do.
Otis used splash, but nothing happened. Yeah,
lots happened actually.
It did. Yeah, he's just a heel now. What a turn! What a story they have told with Otis. And he's now a heel.
Sorry to butt in. I just want to say as well, because I also said last week that loads of people are going to tell me what the story actually is that they're trying to tell. And I said that any story that you come up with, that's you telling the story based on the logic of WWE's continuity, not the story that they're telling. And again, I feel very vindicated because there's no mention of anything that happened with Otis, losing Mandy, losing Money in the Bank briefcase, or any of his corruption by Gable. Sure, Gable's coaching him and telling him hey man, calm down, come over here, do a tag, whatever. None of that is about turning Otis heel. None of it. And Otis just doing his stuff and just splashing people continually and being a heel now and being angry is him just being a heel. That's just what it is. There's no story.
The story here actually is they needed a heel tag team to go up against the Mysterios. Here you go. So we're just going to turn him heel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he stopped using the caterpillar. So he's turned from caterpillar into butterfly, I guess, because he flies and does the splash. It was something. Have you seen, Bug's Life?
I know of it. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Bug's Life?
I haven't seen Bug's Life.
This doesn't make any sense then, because there's a big butterfly, giant caterpillar in that, who turns into a butterfly, and he goes, "I'm a big, beautiful butterfly," and that's what I saw when Otis flew through the air.
Great,
yeah. It's more of a heel finisher. It's more of a heel finisher now. I just don't care.
No, that's the worst thing. Is Otis was one of the most over baby faces at one point, and a heel turn from Otis should be a massive deal. one of the guys who the whole story with Mandy, everyone was super into, everyone loved Otis, and they've just chipped away through the whole year and made everyone not care about him, so that now when he turns heel, everyone goes, huh. And that's it. Yeah. That's the entirety of people's feelings about this. Well, my feelings anyway. But I represent everybody. I'm the voice of the people.
Thankfully,
yeah.
Not all heel turns on SmackDown are bad.
Good segue, mate. Good segue. Because this one, I love this. Apollo Crews comes out after his full-on heel turn that's been kind of bubbling away for a little bit. He's been acting heelish for a little while now, with his whole insistence on repeatedly challenging Big E for the title and things like that. Full-on heel turn here. New presentation of Apollo, which I loved. Came out in brand new attire, all green and white, with a cool like scarf, towel thing, whatever it was. Also green and white. Cut a promo before his match with Shinsuke Nakamura of him just leaning into his Nigerian descent and just said, I am a true African American. I wasn't born here. I was born in Nigeria. That's where I'm from. And he said, you know, that he comes from Nigerian royalty, that his grandfather used to own certain parts of it, and said that he used to have 5 wives. And at some point, you know, if people were misbehaving, he'd give them the steel and things like that. And I was like, this is really cool. I'm really enjoying this. Yeah, I really like this new presentation of Apollo. I think it makes him look like such a badass. And yeah, and I think it just looks good as well. Like the actual attire itself just has a nice design. It just makes him feel fresh and new and special. And that's exactly what you want for a brand new character. I thought it was looked really, really good here. Yeah,
like I absolutely agree with everything you say. I'm just interested to see where they kind of go with it now. I mean, do they have him face Big E at Fastlane? Is this the WrestleMania feud? Because if Apollo changed his character to this and then just loses to Big E at Fastlane, then you're sort of, oh, okay, what now? Sort of. I think there is a chance that he could beat Big E. I definitely think there's a chance that he could beat Big E, which would then maybe open up Big E to going after Roman after WrestleMania, or whoever comes out of that the Universal Championship match with the belt. But as of right now, I'm really into this character. I thought it felt real. It felt like this is a promo coming from sort of actually within him rather than, oh, did you say you're from Nigeria? Oh, well, okay. Here's lots of Nigerian things for you to do then. Like, it didn't feel like a WWE promo. It felt like an Apollo Crews promo, and yet it's always so much better. And he followed it up with a really cool, like really fun match. And it just, by the end of this show, I was much more invested in Apollo Crews, who up until now was more of a sort of just frustrated heel. But now he has a character, which he didn't have before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that character lends itself so well to the story that's been told so far as well. And like you said, it felt real. And that's been a lot of the praise that I've heaped onto the Apollo Crews Big E feud so far, is that a lot of it felt very real. Like the heat between them felt like legitimate. So this just kind of compounded that and made him feel even more special. And like you said, this felt like an Apollo promo that came from him. Like he had a lot of creative control on it. And I didn't even think about the fact that, it could have been in the wrong hands turned into a very kind of stereotypical WWE character. And I'm really glad that it hasn't. This is still just a guy who's a wrestler who wants to do well, who just happens to have a certain kind of descent that he's kind of leaning on, rather than, you know, Jinder Mahal, who was Indian man was his character.
10 years ago, Apollo would have come out and done a phony Nigerian accent. So thankful they aren't doing that anymore. Like Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston isn't even from Jamaica. Sorry to break the fourth wall. He's Ghanaian. And
they announce him as that now, from Ghana, West Africa.
Yeah, I know, which is good because that's where he's from.
Yeah.
It's like, what's his Mohammed Hassan. He's Italian.
Yeah. Yeah. But like you said, felt real, loved it, thought this was great. And he also won with the Angle Slam, new finisher, it
Yeah,
seems like.
that's
I'm all
cool.
for. That's
Love
nice.
that move.
Like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good move. I'm not opposed to him doing the big old spin out powerbomb as well, because that's still a cool move as well. I think it still works for a heel, but if he's got kind of more finishers in his arsenal, great. Love it. Yeah, he beat Shinsuke clean. And if he does go on to challenge Big E, I kind of want him to win. I love Big E, but Big E can bounce back from that. Apollo needs a win here. If he's got this brand new character, he needs to win. Because if he loses, then he's going to be destroyed from there on out.
And it's dangerous because they need a conclusive finish. Whenever they next have a match, they need a conclusive finish. Because if they do a screwy finish at Fastlane, they go, oh, well, I guess we'll just have to have them again at WrestleMania. I'll be much less excited because it's like, oh, okay, well, I have now seen this match a lot.
Yeah. What I'd want, I think, is to have them just have a match at WrestleMania, not Fastlane. I think maybe Apollo has a showcase match at Fastlane, and that's when Big E comes back and maybe attacks him as retribution kind of thing for putting him out for a little bit. And that sets up their Mania match. They have that. Apollo wins, not necessarily like super duper clean and like dominant or anything, but he just manages to like eke out the win, and Big E can go on to have a feud with someone else after Mania. Like I said, move up a little bit and challenge someone else. I think that'd be great. But yes, after that we had Liv Morgan versus Tamina, which was, as Ollie mentioned in the Raw review on Monday, they had a complete throwaway Divas era style women's match. This was that again. They didn't get entrances. They were already there. Liv Morgan's music was playing as the bell rang, and they just started. The match went about 2 minutes. Tamina hit the world's softest slam in the world, and then won.
It was, yeah. Pete warned me beforehand. Don't go too much into this. But yeah, it was a really, really bad finisher. Like she's hit it better.
I know. She hit a really good one. I think it was last week. She hit a really good slam. I was like, "Ooh, that's a nice looking slam." And then she did the same one here, and I was like, For
some reason, something didn't work. Either as she was swinging Liv round, she lost her balance, and therefore when she slammed her, she was just falling over. And therefore, when she slammed Liv, instead of going slam, it was and I almost wish they had thought on the fly. She had picked up Liv again and hit a Samoan drop or something like that, just to make it look more impactful. Because what this looked like is that Liv was so incapacitated by this slam, she can't get up. And like you said, 2 minutes. I don't care. And and unfortunately, since the Royal Rumble, the SmackDown women's division has really lost my interest because of the way that they are portraying everyone. And we'll get onto that a bit more later, but I'm not enjoying this at all. No.
And speaking of feeling vindicated about stuff, we'll talk about this briefly. Natalya and Tamina, best friends. I made a joke last week just being like, best friends? Since when? When's that happened? Got a load of people tweeting me and leaving comments stuff being like, oh, well, they're both veterans in WWE. They've obviously best friends. They've been around each other for years and years and years. They've been friends for ages. On commentary, Michael Cole said, this newfound friendship with Tamina and Natalya. I was like, see? Even they say that. Is it newfound or are they best friends? I don't know. They don't know either.
Best friends at first sight.
Hate that. Hate all of that. That sucks. Also, Michael Cole said that Natalya's new catchphrase is she's gone from reliable to undeniable, which is what Cody said in his really good promo against Jericho way back in the day, but worse.
It's also not true.
Yeah, also
he's gone from reliable
to reliable. Like,
she is the same wrestler she was 10 years ago.
That's just, oh man, hate that. Listen, I'm no AEW mark, but if you're going to rip off something that AEW did, at least do it better. Jesus. Don't just have Michael Cole just say, oh, by the way, there's this thing that Natalya says now, reliable to undeniable, which, why would you tell us that Natalya says that instead of having Natalya say it? That's probably the way to show us that Natalya says that.
Yeah.
WWE angers me sometimes. Anywho, speaking of things that anger me, up next we had Bianca Belair walking backstage with the commentary saying, "Tonight's the night where Bianca Belair is going to choose her WrestleMania opponent." So I said, like every other week when she's going to choose her WrestleMania opponent, then, because she's been on the verge of doing it for weeks. And then it's either Nia Jax or Shayna Baszler or Sasha or Reginald or Carmella or someone comes out, something happens, and then Bianca doesn't reveal it. So she's already known for weeks who she's going to be picking. But for some reason, tonight is the night that she's going to choose, because they've not told us a reason why she's been delaying.
Yeah. And then it didn't help that the following segment was just really annoying.
So I feel like I have a lot to say about this, and I'm going to try and keep it short. But brief version is, I hate it when WWE insults the fans' intelligence. Because with Edge, you knew it was going to be Roman, right? You understood it was going to be Roman. But they had Edge appear on NXT. He cut a promo with Finn Balor. He appeared on Raw to try and set up a potential thing with Drew. And Edge said, "I'm going to wait until Chamber to reveal my pick." Even if we all knew that he was going to pick Roman, we said, okay, Elimination Chamber. After that, Edge is going to pick. That's when he's going to choose, because he wants to see logically who's going to be the champion. Cool. That makes sense. Bianca has had no such treatment. She has just known who she's going to pick and has just not picked for reasons unknown.
Yeah.
She's not had any storyline progression with Asuka. She might have appeared on Raw once, I think, if memory serves. In comparison, she's been having promo segments with Sasha since the Rumble, has been teaming with her, and had a women's tag title match with Sasha at Elimination Chamber. Who could she possibly pick out of those two? And then they had the gall to bring her out to the ring on SmackDown. Who do you think she's going to pick? The Raw Women's Champion Asuka on SmackDown. Then they played video packages of saying, who are you going to pick? Is it Asuka? And they showed a video clip of Asuka and all her cool bits. I'm like, why are we wasting time on this? Stop insulting our intelligence. I don't get it, because it's insulting our intelligence to think that it could possibly be Asuka from everything that they've presented, for them to then go, but it could be Asuka, couldn't it? It's ridiculous. I hate it so much, and it really wound me up. Shocker, she chose Sasha.
What?
Yeah, I know,
I was
right?
so sure.
Crazy.
Yeah. This sucked.
Yeah, it did.
And I really don't like what they're doing with Sasha. They're making her unlikable somehow.
Which is fine to a degree. If she's going to play the heel in this feud, sure, fine. But you're making her legitimately unlikable rather than a cool heel. And those are two different things.
And I wish I'd saved a picture, but there's just a picture of what really annoys me about this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it's a picture of Bianca sort of beaming, like, and pointing at the sign. And then Sasha's going as well. It's like, it's not a photo opportunity.
But actually, hold up. That's exactly what it is. You're pointing at the sign.
Feel like that. And it's like, we're all so happy we're facing each other. You're my little sister. Oh, you're my role model. It's like, oh, have a match because you want to fight each other, not because you're friends. Like they're somehow trying to make this again about friendship or about like mentorship. Like women's feuds can be something else. It really gets me, and I want Bianca's character to be, I'm the best, and I'm going to beat you because I am the best. That should be it. Not, I like smiling, and I'm good at wrestling, and I'm going to point at things. It's like, oh!
So that's the bit that wound you up. There was obviously the whole thing before about insulting intelligence, and also Reginald was there.
Yeah, why? Who is this guy? Why did he get a did he somehow managed to get his way into an amazing contract?
I don't understand. He's Carmella's sommelier. He's Carmella's second-hand person.
Fabulous.
And yet, he has had more involvement in this feud than Sasha has. Like, okay, that's an exaggeration. But still, like, my God. This guy is involved in every segment that these guys do, and he says nothing the entire time. He just goes, did you know that Sasha's great, and if you pick her, you're gonna lose? It's like, you've said that for 4 weeks now. Say something else, you moron. And he doesn't add anything. I'm assuming it's going to lead to Sasha getting Reginald in her services, kind of completing the whole being the heel for the match and stuff, and Reginald's going to be Sasha's sommelier or whatever, and she's just going to hijack Carmella's gimmick just straight up. Sure, whatever. You don't need to have all of this, though. None of this adds to any of the story that they're telling right now. This didn't add to Bianca's announcement. This didn't add to their entire feud, their gimmick of their feud of sisters, friends, you know, whatever they're doing. Reginald doesn't add to it in any way. There's no need for him to be here. All it does is takes away from your top women's feud. He's a man in a women's feud. Stop it. It angers me so much.
What I'll say is that despite her picking Sasha,
yeah,
I would put good money on her actually picking Asuka. I can see that.
Money.
I can see that happening.
Good money, Dangor.
Mm.
Hold on. Let me check. Is this the thing that I think it is? It's too obvious. It's too obvious.
Why does he look like a 4-year-old in that picture?
Because he is.
That's true.
It's just too obvious. It's too early. It's too obvious. I don't know why she picked Sasha. It's just too obvious. No. Anyway, I hated that. Literally, as Carmella's music hit and Reginald walked. Reginald had his own Titantron, by the way, guys. He had his own little Reginald graphics in the background. Hated that. As soon as that music hit, I just wrote in all capitals, F off Reginald in my notes.
I feel sorry for it because he's just doing what he's told. Yeah, but he's such an idiot.
I don't hate him. I'm sure he's a lovely guy and he can do some cool things and some flips and stuff. I despise his character and his involvement in this entire feud. Stop booking him in this. It makes me so mad. Anyway. Zayn and Corbin were backstage. They had a tag match against the Street Profits. And Corbin, I think, actually made a lot of sense when he went to Sami Zayn. He was like, why are we tagging? And I was like, oh, thank God. He actually referenced it.
He heals.
Yeah, why are we tagging now? And Zayn was like, actually, that was my idea because, you know, we had some great chemistry before the Chamber when we had our little tag matches and stuff. We qualified for the Chamber together. We're great. We could dominate the tag division. And weirdly, Corbin had to agree, but also say no at the same time. So he was like, yeah, we could, but also I don't like your documentary crew. Yeah, that's what I think. Okay. Nope. And then they had a tag match against Street Profits, which was fine. But it was a distraction finish because the documentary crew were filming Corbin and he didn't like that. So which distracted Zayn, which allowed Ford to hit a dive onto Corbin. Dawkins hit the neck breaker onto Zayn. And then there was a big old springboard frog splash from Ford for the win. What I don't understand is why Corbin doesn't like being filmed. You're on international TV, bud. There's cameras everywhere. Why are these cameras different?
There are more cameras now and they're really distracting.
And the thing is, if he's going to complain about cameras getting too close, have you seen some of the close-ups they do on the show? And the camera people are like, here?
It's like after a backstage promo where someone goes, I'm going to face you. And then they go, and then the cameras go,
the camera goes right in. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The WWE camera guys are invisible. That's just something you have to buy into in the mythos of WWE, is they don't actually exist. Anywho. Yeah, it was fine. Street Profits got another win. Dirty Dogs were backstage drinking from red solo cups, so we're probably getting another feud out of them because that's what we need.
Yeah.
We then had the Bryan and Edge backstage promo. We then had Seth Rollins came out. I really liked the segment. He came out and started to cut promo, but Cesaro just came straight out and was like, I'm not having any of your BS. Just came out just in jeans.
Yeah.
I just thought he looked really cool.
He did look cool, but it's also like, why isn't he wearing a shirt?
I think it would have been cool if he came out wearing a shirt and then took it off on his way to the ring. So it was just like he was in casual wear and then just took off his shirt, showing that
because
he wanted
otherwise
to
it
fight
just looks
kind of
like
thing.
he's standing backstage, just
just without the top on. Yeah, exactly. But regardless, he looks cool. He came out and Rollins manages to cut what I thought was a really cool promo of him just saying, like, look, every time you get so close to becoming a star, you always fall short. And he was like, why do you always fall short? I was like, it's something that rhymes with Mince McHam. Something like that, I think, is the reason why he doesn't reach superstardom. But then he's saying, look, just come with me. I've smashed the glass ceiling. I've grabbed all the brass rings. I'm a megastar. I have killer instinct, and I can give it to you. All you need to do is join me. And Cesaro was like, no. And then he picked up Rollins into the swing position. Rollins kept the mic, and I love this little touch. Kept the mic, and while he was in the swing position, just said to Cesaro, like he was talking to a dog, he was like, drop me, drop me, drop me. And Cesaro didn't. And then he swung him around. I loved this because somehow Rollins was wearing like an open jacket, and he swung him so hard his jacket fell off, which was amazing.
I would also have loved it if Rollins had still managed to hold on to the microphones, going, ah! Ah! Yeah, really good. It is always interesting when WWE cuts a promo on their own poor booking. Like, why haven't you become a star?
Who can say?
Sorry, you're the ones who wrote this.
Yeah.
Yeah, really liked all of this. So they did the swing, and then he hit an awesome uppercut, which Rollins sold like a champ.
Absolutely. Champ, yeah.
And I guess this is Fastlane.
I hope Mania, but it seems I don't know if they can extend it that long, realistically. Yeah, so maybe Fastlane. Yeah. Regardless, if they have a
Cesaro one,
that would be great. I think it would be cool if they had a Fastlane match and Rollins won, being sneaky, and then they had a Mania match. I don't think I'd be opposed to that.
But also, just I know I'm getting my hopes up here, but the fact that they have gone with that, what's always stopped you from being a star, makes me think maybe they're finally pulling the trigger.
I don't know.
Even if it's a 1 year run like Kofi had, that'd be enough.
Yeah, it would. Oh man, I want that now. Yeah. Regardless, if they just have a pay-per-view match, I'm going to be happy. In all honesty. Then we had the main event of Bryan versus Uso, which we've already spoken about. Overall, then we've actually got a poll here. I can't see which screenshot's the right one. You're going to have to do it. It's the last one. Yeah. According to YouTube, when we actually took the this poll, 45% of you gave it a 4 out of 5, a smacktastic, 35% with a smack bang in the middle. I'm going to go against the majority here. Well, the highest vote here. And I'm actually going to give it a 3 out of 5. I'm going to give it a smack bang in the middle. A high 3 out of 5, so kind of somewhere in the middle there. Because I thought some of the stuff was really good on this show. The Apollo stuff, the Bryan Uso Edge stuff with the promos not quite making sense, but still somehow maintaining my interest, which is great. The whole Apollo presentation I thought was fantastic. The Rollins Cesaro stuff I'm very excited for. I thought the swing and the uppercut was great. But like the whole of the women's division, the Otis and the Gable stuff, and there was a lot to not like on this show as well. So I think, 3 out of 5 is fair.
I think what helped the show is that it had a good beginning, a good middle, and a good end. So you're like, oh, that's good. I like that. And then you can kind of ignore a bit. And then, oh, that's good as well. I like the Apollo stuff. And you ignore the women's stuff. And you go, oh, I like the final beatdown. Yeah. So I think that's why it's kind of left a nice taste in a lot of people's mouths. But yeah, I think I would still go for like you said, 3 out of 5, just because the women's stuff is so detrimental.
It really is as well. Yeah, it really is. It's not just bad; it's damaging.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you everyone for voting in that poll. We'll have more of them next week when we're going live. I forgot to put the banner back on the screen.
You say have more of them.
We'll be having more of them when we go live next week. So
we're going live?
We're going live. 3 p.m. UK time. SmackDown podcast going live.
SmackDown live?
SmackDown live. Exactly. Yes. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of the podcast. Please press the videos that have just appeared on the screen to catch up with more awesome WrestleTalk stuff, and the button in the middle that will make you become a pledge hammer on Patreon. I have been Corporate Chopper. I've been joined by Randy, Andy Datson, and that